Alright, hey, so we are at Lincoln Blocks today. Behind me here is my cedar style pieces that will become Lincoln Blocks. They're at a part of the manufacturing process right before they get assembled. I went with Lincoln Block because they are a local company. They're using oftentimes reject wood or wood that wouldn't make it into other products. It's a little bit easier for me to use I'm not a framer, I'm not professional in those kinds of ways, so it's easier for me to use Lincoln Blocks to build my house. It ends up being approximately the same price as if I manufactured it in the traditional way, stick framing with sheathing, drywall, all that stuff. But instead of essentially building my house out of paper, I end up with 1-inch thick cedar walls, both on the exterior and interior of my home. So that's why we're here today, just to get a look around and introduce you guys to John and the crew here. So here James is just cutting up pieces of Lincoln Block to length so that he can get the block manufactured. After that, he's going to be cutting the ends to be even so they butt up against each other nicely when we're assembling them. Lincoln Blocks, just in general, Lincoln Blocks come from lumber that isn't going to be meeting requirements for other projects mostly. It's things that are too short lengths, or it has knots in it, or other things that would make it not particularly ideal for other projects like building a deck or building a sauna or any other building project where you would need nice, long, clean pieces of cedar. Lincoln Blocks is great because they can buy the cuts that nobody else really wants, then remanufacture either the reclaimed wood sometimes or wood that wouldn't be accepted on another project. They remanufacture it, cut it into tongue and groove style pieces, and build them into Lincoln Blocks. It works for them because the cedar isn't taking most of the load in Lincoln Block building application. Additionally, Lincoln Blocks tend to be shorter lengths. 10-foot block is a really long block. They're not looking for big, long structural elements of cedar or fir or whatever other material they're using. They're looking for short, tight, nice blocks of wood, which they can then remanufacture into the tongue and groove pieces they need. So for my house, I went with cedar over the regular product that Lincoln Blocks normally uses, which is Douglas fir. Fir is a great building material. It's harder than cedar, it's more dense. But cedar, because of the fact that it has a lot of natural oils in it, cedar oil, it resists rot, bugs don't really like it, and also, in my opinion, it smells great. I like how it looks. It performs well. It's a little bit tricky to build with. The wood itself is a little softer. You have to be careful with it. You have to baby it a little bit. But it's also about half the weight. Fir Lincoln Blocks are about 10 pounds per foot. A 10-foot block weighs 100 pounds, and it's not impossible to work with, but it presents challenges. Whereas the same length cedar block is only 50. So you can move the blocks around faster with less fatigue. It's easier to build with. I wouldn't have been stopped if I was building my house with fir, but I prefer cedar for a lot of reasons. Even though it is a little bit softer, it's not what's taking the structural loads here. So there really isn't much of a downside for me.
In the beginning, it's going to go out.
I'm not afraid of doing any of that, but I know that some people can be intimidated.
Oh,
by
yeah.
the product. It's like, yeah, you don't have to touch anything. You're just throwing it together. And you're just throwing it together.
Well, in a small footprint program, like a shed program.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to buy the compressor.
right. Well, I did own the gas one. I had a gas one for about a year or two. The Absolute gas guns. I just got tired of changing the tubes, and the tubes were everywhere on the job, and the people would bitch about them because you're supposed to environmentally handle the tube, the gas tube, and none of the framers and the siders would have.
This jig here was made specifically for Lincoln blocks. After gluing up the structural elements in the center, they squeeze the block together, nail it all together, get it nice and tight, and set it aside to cure for 72 hours. The nails that are being used here are stainless steel 15 gauge brad nails. While they do add an element of strength to the block, a lot of the strength that's keeping this together comes from the construction adhesive they're using on the sides of those spline pieces in the center. What James just did on the saw there was cutting the end face of the Lincoln block nice and even. He's doing this so that when we're assembling, we don't have to make those cuts on site and we can just throw the block, put some caulk on the ends, butt them up against each other, and they'll be pretty much perfect.
Yeah, normally, like if we're gonna ship far away, if you look down there, you'll see one of the loads, the very first load, really packed with thin slats in between. That's for shipping. Since we're just going to Snohomish, we'll probably leave it like this. It's just extra work, and also, like right now, I just made a new one, and that's this one right here. But if I do it really quick, there's still some glue in here, and if I pack them in really tight, and I butt these up against another one, like one right here where it's right next there, a little bit of glue might get on it, and then they'll stick together. So this is how we normally do it. If we're just going to, if we're gonna get ready for packing, I do a bunch of these. They don't even have to be the proper widths or anything like that. I'll just throw a bunch of them together, throw them down there. Then we would go ahead and start making packs. Because sometimes they're different lengths. Like these right here are pretty uniform in their lengths, but a lot of times, when you see down there, there's a lot of them that are up about a 2 foot difference. So you don't want to put like little ones in the right here all across here and big ones on top of it. If we're making big loads like 10 foot wide, we might put 6 footers and 4 footers and just pack them all in. Try to make like a full load.
Well, that comes with time and money because larger facilities can do, I went down to Oklahoma, right? And there's big cut line outfit down there. You know, if you had a mass production situation with that type of cut line, you could stand here and say, I need 175 pieces, 39 and a half inches long for these kits that I put together. And we'll change the saw blade distance. And all you have to do is you set that up.
I don't have a.
We don't put, I mean, actually that's quite a bit of glue. It doesn't look like it, but it's quite a bit of glue. Because when I put this in there, it just really squishes out everywhere. This is actually what holds it together. The nails are not what hold this together. It's the glue. The nail holds them together so the glue can dry. Once the glue dries, the glue is, this is actually this construction adhesive, so it's really strong. And it's stronger than the wood. You try to pull it apart, you'll rip the wood. So once it's dry, it's really strong.
My Lincoln Blocks project is the largest that I'm aware of that they've ever done so far. So not only is it a pretty big and exciting project for me personally, you know, it's going to be my house. It's going to be a really important part of my life. It's also really important for Lincoln Blocks. Everybody here at Lincoln Blocks is really invested in making sure it goes well. It is going to be a product that kind of has a lot of eyes on it. We're interested in working with the state to build low income housing. The county in particular is using my home as sort of a learning platform for how they can inspect Lincoln Block projects, how they can engineer Lincoln Block projects, and how they work with it within their building management framework. So it's been pretty important for both myself and Lincoln Blocks. This project has been huge for both of us. So I really like working with Lincoln Blocks. We work well together, at least I think so. I know John and Andrew and Crystal and a lot of the crew here quite well. John comes by, reviews my work, and pretty much happy to help whenever we have any kind of question or problem. You know, something comes up that we don't know how to do or that we're unsure about, or we just need some sort of advice or help. He's really happy to kind of act as a mentor in these sorts of situations and make sure the project goes smoothly for us and both of us, I suppose. In general, they've been extremely supportive and have been an excellent company to work with. It's nice to be able to work with a company that is local, that is working with materials sourced in Washington or from the states around. It's nice to be able to work with a team that is small, owned by a local family that, well, at this point, I know and trust and like. And it's just kind of a pleasure to be able to work with a business that's in my own community and is bettering my state, bettering the area that I live in, and putting more work into the area around us. I really like that, and I'd like to help support that kind of stuff. So, in beyond just being an excellent material to work with, it's also just a pleasure working with the people here.
Right? You have to start building houses for longevity, 200-300 year periods. And you go to Eastern Washington, you look at the old farmhouses, they're 100 years old. Some of them are falling apart because they had no maintenance, right? But for the most part, the 100-year-old house is still going to last you another 50, 60, 70 years because of the maintenance and what they put into it. Now we're putting houses together for 30 years, 40 years, and they fall apart.
Oh, yeah, I made paper.
Yeah, they made it in paper. So this type of house, the long-term goal here is to throw this into the market to make sure people realize that they can build houses that'll last generations. And your overall cost drops in America at that point if your houses aren't crumbling.
So, if you guys are interested in doing your own project, whether it's a house, shed, sauna, whatever you can really think of, you can go to lincolnblock.com to check them out. And yeah, they're really a nice company to work with. This is completely not sponsored at all. They don't pay me anything to do this. In fact, I pay them to work with them. But I would highly recommend them. They're great. Thanks for watching.